Hi there, this is Yang Zhao from SEP Undergraduate Group 2, and I'm going to review the software requirement specification. In our SRS document, we differentiated requirements into user requirements and system requirements. User requirements are retrieved from client meeting every week. Meanwhile, under the section of system requirements, there are functional requirements and non-functional requirements. To make a clear category, we use serial numbers. For user requirements, we use UR plus the case sequence number, like 0102. For the identifiable requirements in non-functional requirements section, we use NRP to represent performance constraints, and the NRD represents development constraints. We created a form including description, rationale, source, priority, and dependency for each requirement. The form gives a consistent and appropriate level of detail. There's no expected behavior documented for error conditions in SRS document, but we have them all listed in our risk management document. All of our system requirements listed are all in the scope of the project and based on our design and testing. There's a form in software design document which mentioned elements on our user interface and their corresponding requirements. Each requirement is verifiable by testing, documentation, review, and analysis. We don't have any necessary information missing from the requirements for now. If we find missing information, we will identify it as TBD. We have a documentation team to double-check our content and grammar to make sure there's no error and to make sure each requirement are actually requirements, not design or implementation. Meanwhile, all of the requirements were implemented within known constraints. There might be some non-functional requirements seems to be duplicating with other functional requirements. For example, object recognition in functional requirement and hitting avoidance in non-functional requirement. We discussed it during our general meeting. According to the definition from our lecture, functional requirements defines what the system is supposed to do, and the non-functional requirements are constraints on the service or functions offered by the system. So non-functional requirements are more like detailed supporting plan for functional requirements. Hitting avoidance is an implementation of object recognition, so we don't think it's an duplication. We have user cases as our higher level requirement. In use case part, there are 3 use cases to describe 3 main parts of our main tasks and traceable requirements, which are navigating and detecting object and detecting survivor. We also mentioned timing criteria in our requirements, and all the other special issues have been mentioned before. In summary, we clearly identify each requirement and wrote them at a consistent and appropriate level of detail, but we didn't identify all of the time-critical functions, which needs to be improved. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.